Hello nerds, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maria and I like to make technology videos on the internet. Today I thought I would try to tell the story of how I got into the tech industry. Even though I mentioned it on my channel before that I used to hate coding, I never told anybody here on the internet, I guess, about why I actually went into the tech industry. And this weekend was actually American Thanksgiving. Even though I'm not American, it made me think about how grateful I am to have the life I do right now, because I never would have imagined it. And I also wanted to tell this story to thank all of the people who helped me along the way. And if there's one thing you can learn from me today, it's that if I can be a software engineer, like a person like me, then you can do it too. And from this video, you'll probably also learn that my toxic trait is persevering too much and just like seeing any circumstance through until the end, no matter what cost. So how does this story even begin? If you don't know anything about me, I am an introvert. I was also very artistic as a kid. I was a bookworm and I just played with little pet shops all day and just made stories and that type of thing. I sucked at building with Legos. I always forget the rules of chess, and I have probably never solved a Rubik's Cube in my entire life. How did someone like that, who never used her analytical side of her brain, go into the job where you have to use it all of the time? Well, I think the first person I can blame for this is my friend Marco. Back in 8th grade in Canada, you have to choose your courses that you want to take in high school in your 9th grade. And we had to choose 2 elective courses plus a third alternative in case you didn't get into one of the other 2. Because I really love art, I chose visual arts and cooking because I wanted to learn how to cook. But for my third choice, as an extra thing, I chose exploring technologies. I literally had no idea what this course was, but I signed up for it just to spite my friend Marco. Marco didn't know this story until last year actually, but basically at the time, he was the smartest guy in my class. And he always did like extra math courses after school and everything. Like, he is what you would picture to be a software engineer in the future. The problem was he was very arrogant at the time, and he agrees with this. So don't worry. But I told him about this, and basically he was just being so cocky and being like, "Oh yeah, I'm the smartest person in the class. Obviously, I'm going to take this course where you do cool science and engineering stuff because I'm way better than all of you guys." So stupidly, not even thinking that I would have to take this course, I signed up for it just to prove him wrong and like possibly beat him somehow. And what ended up happening is that when we got our schedules, we ended up being in the same exploring technologies class, but the only difference, Marco switched out within the first week. Honestly, it was a terrible class and I probably should have switched out, but I feel like it was interesting to see what happened and see if I could like survive, you know? But I think that's like my whole life story is like, oh, how far can I go until I fail? So half of the class was taught by our old woodshop teacher who knew nothing about computers, and basically we were just taking apart PCs and rebuilding them and just learning all the parts and like, I don't know, something with breadboards, I don't even remember. But the other half was with the auto shop teacher teaching us how to build things with it, like 2 hot glue sticks and like 5 popsicle sticks, and then a classic egg car project thing. Yeah, that's where it all started, basically. Me trying to spite this arrogant guy in my class. And yeah, now that Marco knows this story, he thinks he deserves a cut of my salary. So after that dreadful course, I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna do this again, good riddance. But no, my older brother was in university at the time, and he had switched his major multiple times and finally ended up in software engineering. He saw me learning about computers and was like, oh my god, projecting his insecurities of not learning how to code until university onto me and being like, you have to learn how to code in high school. You have to get ahead, Maria. So then he forced me to use Codecademy, and actually, it was terrible. I think I only got through like 40% of the Python course, and it was so boring because there's nothing interesting in Codecademy. Honestly, I tried so many courses and it's just the way of learning there is not for me. But the thing was, he did one good thing. His friends, who were a few girls also in engineering, and they were helping to host an event at his university called Go Code Girl, which is supposed to show girls in high school how fun engineering can be. And because he heard that there was free food there, he asked his friends if he could go, and they were like, no, only if you bring your little sister. So that's the reason why I was forced to go to this random event, and it was actually fun. Like, that was honestly one of the only good experiences I had related to engineering. Why? Because there were girls there. So basically I went to this event and I saw his university campus for the first time, and it was so cool, and that would end up being my future university. We just did some random like little engineering projects similar to what we did in Exploring Technologies, like building a car that has to carry an egg and like go through an obstacle course, or playing with robots and stuff. But it was just so nice because I got to meet girls in university studying engineering. And those girls ended up being my role models for such a long time, and even till this day, I aspire to be like them. One of them was in computer engineering, and the other was in electrical, and they were just so interesting. And I got to meet so many other girls who were also so smart and interesting and creative, but also interested in engineering. It was just so nice to be surrounded by a lot of girls. That was like the main thing, is I was like, wow, this is a completely different experience than what I have had in my classes. In the 10th grade, I was somehow miraculously thrown into the computer science class. I still didn't get into the cooking class. I tried again that year and I wasn't let in, and I don't understand why. But at least in this computer science class, I made some friends, including one of my closest friends to this day, Clara, who doesn't remember how to code anymore, but still messages me when she needs regex help for her plant biology classes. So at least I can help her out with that, kind of, even though I don't even know regex either. So in that year, 2016, we were learning Visual Basic 2005, which was pretty fun and easy actually. So that wasn't a very bad course. But then in 11th grade, I tried the same thing to get into the cooking class, but I failed again, and I was put into computer science. I think that time I actually also signed up for it as like an extra course if I don't get in. So my fault. This time it was harder. I was trying my best, but the problem with the way that my school taught things, they would just teach you if statements, for loops, and then the final project is just that they expect you to make a video game by yourself. So then the entire time I was just bothering my teacher and asking him to help me with stuff, because it's like, how would I know how to do anything? Like, I chose what game I wanted to make, but I'm like, I don't know where to start. It was a struggle back then. I also didn't care too much about the class. But I think another important thing to talk about is how I felt in those two computer science classes. I honestly dreaded going to class every single day because of the way that people made me feel there. I did not feel comfortable. I did not feel confident in myself or my abilities. And people made that known to me, like how stupid I was and just how they didn't want me to be there, because if I would ask for help, people would be rude. And yeah, it's like memories coming back. Like at the same time as I was in those classes, I wasn't into computer science, but I still wanted to get better. So I went to the coding club after school. Clara and I would try to go together. It was just a bunch of guys solving coding contest questions, and they wouldn't really pay us any attention. And they would just tell us, oh, okay, log into this website and start doing questions. And they're all really hard questions that we didn't even know where to start with. That fizzled out really quickly. And I just went to different clubs that were, more welcoming and fun and, creative outside of technology stuff. I also in, I think, grade 11, I was coerced by my teacher to go into a coding contest with a group of girls as a team, because if a school brought a team of girls, they would get to go in for free. And when we got there, it felt so embarrassing just not knowing how to solve literally any of the questions. I was just like cheering on this one girl on my team who knew what was happening, and like asking her questions and like how she learned this stuff and like her way of thinking and processing this. And the one of the worst experiences was we had this other computer club at our school that was created. They had an announcement for their first meeting ever, and oh man, my rabbit's like being weird. They made an announcement about it over the speakers, and I was the only person to show up to their meeting. And it was just these two guys and me. And I just pulled up a chair, sat beside them, and I started asking them questions about what they were doing, because they were making an app. And then they just fully turned their bodies, like both of their bodies, away from me and just talked between themselves and ignored me. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, one of them, I thought he was nice. The other one, like, I knew didn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. But the other one, I thought he was like a nice person. He was in my computer science classes. And I was like, wow, that was fucked up. But, like, I had a lot of bad experiences like that. Like, that's like what most guys acted like in my computer science classes, which is pretty terrible. It's not even just a few people were mean. It's just like collectively people were not the best in those classes. Also, in the 10th grade in Canada, we have this special day called Take Your Kid to Work Day, where every 10th grader goes to their parents' work for the day to see what it's like. Because my mom doesn't work, and then my dad has more of, I guess you could say, a blue collar job. So I was kind of embarrassed to ask him. So then my mom said, just ask one of your friends to go to their parents' work with them. And the only person who said yes was my friend Ashida's dad. So then he took us to downtown Toronto. He is actually also a programmer. So that was really interesting and a unique experience, like traveling downtown with them on the subway and then going through the underground path, which is like a mall. He pointed out this fancy cheese store and he said, if you guys work in technology, then you can make enough money to afford fancy cheese. So I remember that. And then we got to meet all the people that he works with. And I was the only one who was like awake and I was asking questions. And all these people were like, whose daughter is this? And I'm like, no one's. I'm just a random stranger. We even got to see a data center too. So that was really cool. It was just very inspiring to see what his life is like. But also at the same time, this entire time in high school, Clara and I would always, every single summer, talk about quitting coding. And she quit early on, which was honestly smart. Like, I don't know, maybe my life would have been different if I wasn't coding. But I kept going. Every single summer, we would just sit down at the park and be like, should we do computer science courses? How about we don't? It's not really fun. But then I would somehow always get into it. So in the end, I gave up on learning how to cook. And I actually signed up for a grade 12 computer science class on my own terms. It was actually pretty fun for the first time, and it was much better than my dreaded bio and chem classes because I usually loved those classes, but in my last year of high school, they just like changed. So then that's what made me reevaluate my life decisions because actually I wanted to become a zoologist and study animals and then, interview animals with microphones like David Attenborough or those types of people who have a TV show and they go to the Amazon and they just see a random animal and they're like, oh my god, it's this animal, and then talk about it. I wanted to have a show like that. But then because I took those classes in grade 12, I realized that studying biology I didn't think would be very fun for me. And because I had some nice experiences with engineering, like through Go Code Girl and seeing Ashida's dad's work, it was like the first step for me to open my eyes. And I saw how cool engineering could be. It inspired me to sign up for the major, even though at the time I really sucked at math, physics, and coding. And basically in my first year of university, I was in engineering and I decided this is my year to fail everything because as a first year, no one will care. They will expect me to fail. So every single coding contest, every engineering contest, design thinking contest, I signed up for those even though I knew nothing about them. But I learned from experiencing them and failing at them. Every single week I was failing at something new. Like not assignments really, a little bit in physics, but I went to hackathons for the first time and I tried those and like got over that barrier of being afraid of them. And I joined a few coding clubs that my school had. I also got into volunteering to teach kids how to code. I was teaching workshops at hackathons. And in my second semester of school, I switched into computer science, and you can watch my video about why I did that because I got into the Shopify Dev Degree program. And I also wanted to talk about in this video about why I started making YouTube videos in 2020. It was the end of my second year, beginning of my third year, basically, of school. I was kind of just, bored in the pandemic, but every single person I saw on tech YouTube did not look like me and had already, in my eyes, made it. Like they're all tech leads, senior engineers. I didn't see any girls. Like I saw one girl, but then she sadly stopped making YouTube videos. Like she just made a few. They're all guys who live in Silicon Valley as well. So there's no girls, no one in Canada like me, no one in university, no one showing what it's really like to fail basically. At the time I was watching YouTube videos about making YouTube videos, and this one woman gave the advice that you just have to be a few steps ahead of another person. I was already in my third year of university. I had already had a few internships. I had done many hackathons. If I was at step like F, there are people at steps A, B, C, D, and I can help those people. Basically, I wanted to show the reality of what it's like to be in tech and also be a woman in tech and also be a noob in tech. And hopefully I have done that through my videos about like going to hackathons and struggling through those or trying to study for interviews and go through interviews and fail them, pass them, to show people that you're not alone in this. It's okay to put yourself in uncomfortable situations sometimes because that's where you can grow a lot. And that's also the thing I like about videos. It's about showing, not telling. If I show you how fun and not scary a hackathon is, you're more likely to sign up for one than for me to just tell you how fun and not scary it is. I also glossed over a bunch of stuff like about university. Like, I wanted this story to be mostly about high school and my decision to enter this field, but there's a lot of gatekeeping that happens in tech no matter like what level you're at, and I just didn't want to continue that cycle and I wanted to share everything that I'm learning. But basically, I think the things I wanted to answer most in this video for myself were why did I keep going and what keeps me going. I do sometimes think about, is tech the right thing for me for the long term? I enjoy my job right now and it's really fun. I'm just happy that I'm using my brain because it would be really hard for me to give that up. Like, no matter what other venture I try to do in the future, I want something to challenge me every day and to provide that feeling that you get when you're solving a problem. And I think you can get that in many fields. But yes, I did want to end this video not only thanking everyone who has helped me along the way. Obviously, I didn't mention literally every person, just like a few people. Obviously, like anyone who mentored me or talked to me in my internships in school. I'm very grateful for everyone for what they have done for me. But yeah, I wanted to end this video talking about an idea that I heard Rihanna talking about to a group of girls in STEM. And she was saying that she doesn't think that we get celebrated enough. And hopefully from this video, you've seen that it was really hard for me to get here. Yes, we should be celebrated more. You should be celebrated in every aspect of your growth. And you should be celebrated for your creativity and your fearlessness and your persistence and your determination to get to your goal. I don't know if you should celebrate this every American Thanksgiving, but I feel like I should have celebrated myself more and how far I progressed every single year, every month. That kind of does help with like feeling imposter syndrome. You have to see how much have you grown in like the past little while. All the effort that you put in to building your future should be celebrated. And I know that every single student learning a for loop for the first time and then taking a course in computer science, studying it in school or just doing it on the side, it's like you are trying hard and you deserve the credit because that is something very difficult. And I'm just happy that I can be one of the hopefully role models for other people, for younger girls who are also learning computer science for the first time. We need to be investing in your future, pulling people up in the tech industry instead of gatekeeping it or pulling people down. So with that, thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit about me and my story. I would love to hear about your story, about how you got interested in coding or how you got into tech in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye.